Hey, what's going on, guys? What's happening? YouTube, good morning, everybody. We got another one of these millennial stories for you guys. I really kind of enjoy these stories, and it seems like you guys do too. So the title of this article, which comes to us from Business Insider, is 70% of millennials are living paycheck to paycheck, more than any other generation. And we'll cover this article in a second, but the statistic that surprised me most about this was of millennials earning $100,000 or more. We're talking people earning six figures. 60% of millennials earning six figures still say they're living paycheck to paycheck. Now, if you're earning six figures and think that you're living paycheck to paycheck, maybe if you live in like Manhattan or San Diego, there might, you're just living in an expensive cost of living city. Maybe you can kind of be forgiven a little bit for that. But if you are earning six figures and you still feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck, I got to say, you're kind of an idiot and you have a spending problem. But let's hop into this article. In this channel, I really like to push the idea of frugality and minimalism and financial independence. Financial independence is so important. Not only, for me and for a lot of people, the idea of making a bunch of money, saving and investing that money and be able to retire and enjoy your life at a young age is very attractive. I get everybody has different priorities. Some people want to live in a nicer house or drive a nicer car. But financial independence is so important and so empowering. If your boss starts shitting on your head and you're somebody who's living paycheck to paycheck, you pretty much just have to take it. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, regardless of how much money you make, and you wind up losing your job, you might be forced to take the first job that comes along to pay the bills and keep a roof over your head and feed yourself and your family. If you are financially independent and you got 6 months, a year, or even several years worth of living expenses, if your boss kind of starts shitting on you, you can tell him, take this job and shove it, and just leave. You have a lot more bargaining power in the workplace. You have a lot more bargaining power with your employer. If you're somebody who runs a business, you're not going to be making short-term decisions, just to keep money coming in. So let's hop into this article. 70% of millennials say they're living paycheck to paycheck, according to a new survey. Millennials are in a precarious stage in their life, hitting expensive life milestones, yet not at peak earnings. And the many economic challenges millennials have faced also make things financially difficult. Millennials' wallets are rather skimpy. 70% of the generation said they're living paycheck to paycheck, according to a new survey by Payments and Lending Club, which analyzed economic data and census balance surveys over 28,000 Americans. It found that 54% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, but millennials had the biggest broke energy. By contrast, 40% of baby boomers and seniors said they live paycheck to paycheck, the least of any generation. Living paycheck to paycheck reflects economic needs and wants just as much, if not more, than income and wealth levels. According to the report, age and family status also factor in greatly. This explains why millennials who turned ages 25 to 40 this year are struggling. And I saw a good meme the other day. It was talking about kind of frugality and saving and investing. And it said something to the effect of Nicolas Cage spent all his money on cars and toys and houses, and today Nicolas Cage is broke. By contrast, they had a woman who, I forget what her job was. She was like an administrative assistant or a secretary or something like that. But she lived within her means. She saved and invested. And now, as she's a senior, she's got something like $9 million in the bank. So earnings are less important than kind of budgeting and how you live. We talk a lot about lifestyle creep. I've talked about that a lot on this channel before. If you're making 50 grand a year and you drive a Honda Civic, but you wind up getting a raise or getting a new job, and now you're making $80K a year, and you feel like you have to get a nicer house or a bigger apartment, you got to upgrade that Honda Civic to, BMW 325. You got to get nicer clothes. You start eating out more. Just because your income and your wages go up doesn't mean your lifestyle has to get more expensive. It's by maintaining your lifestyle expenses, but continuing to progress in your career and earn more money, that you're actually going to build wealth and get ahead in life. Millennials, especially the older ones, are collectively at an important stage in their lives, the report reads. They may be starting families or taking their first major purchases, such as homes or new vehicles. They may also be less advanced in their careers than their older counterparts. It doesn't help that millennials have faced one economic challenge after another since the oldest of them graduated into a dismal job market of the 2008 financial crisis. A dozen years later, many are still grappling with the lingering effects of the Great Recession, struggling to build wealth while trying to afford soaring costs for things like housing and healthcare, and shouldering the lion's share of America's student loan debt. The pandemic threw another wrench into their plans by giving them their second recession and second housing crisis before the age of 40. The report acknowledges that the pandemic played a major role in that stretch thin feeling. And I don't know if you guys have noticed inflation, but living is about to get a lot more expensive. A couple weeks ago, we talked about how the millennial lifestyle subsidy is going away. You know, for a long time, we had cheap Airbnbs and cheap food delivery and all these cheap services that were essentially being funded by venture capitalists. Obviously, these companies have to start being more profitable. We've seen the rates of Uber and Lyft rides go up. We've seen the cost of food go up. I know, like, this year, inflation is probably going to be close to 10%. Even just going to the grocery store, I've noticed things like milk, eggs, cereal are substantially higher. You know, normally a box of cereal is like $3.99, and that might even be for the family size. Recently, I was picking up what did I pick up? I think I picked up a box of Frosted Mini Wheats. But, you know, a box of cereal that would normally be $3.99 for the family size was like $4.99 or $5.99 for a pretty small size. We've also talked on this channel about shrinkflation, how companies try to hide this by, you know, they keep the price the same, but you're getting substantially less product. Living paycheck to paycheck sometimes carries connotations of barely scraping by and of poverty, it states. The reality of paycheck to paycheck lifestyle in the United States is much more complex, and the current environment has made it even more complicated. It's left even six-figure earning millennials struggling to get by. The survey found that 60% of millennials raking in over $100,000 a year said they're living paycheck to paycheck. And again, you know, if you have to get the new iPhone every year, that's $1,200, $1,500, $1,600. You know, you have to have the best cable package, that's $250 a year. You're ordering all your meals out. Well, yeah, no shit, you're not really going to get ahead. But it's crazy to me that somebody could be earning six figures, you know, outside of maybe a couple really expensive areas in the country, and you still feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck. You got much bigger problems. Of course, the economy isn't fully to blame. Some millennials, particularly six-figure earners, are known to fall victim to lifestyle creep, which we discussed. When one increases their standard of living to match a rise in discretionary income, this makes it more difficult to balance spending and saving habits. But the report found that those who felt they were living paycheck to paycheck were mostly financially responsible. If they received any additional source of income during that year, many tucked it away rather than spent it. It seems then that it's a combination of external economic circumstances and a precarious life stage and some spending habits that are leaving millennials feeling strapped for cash. So it looks like that's the end of that article. A lot of times I like to cover comments if they got comments, but it doesn't look like we have any comments here. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this article. What do you think about somebody earning six figures and still feeling like they're living paycheck to paycheck? Would love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.